What's going on, guys? This is Damien from The Lookout and welcome to our How to Play Starter Frieza deck with the Anniversary Box upgrade. We're trying something new, so I'm gonna say this immediately. First we'll have how to play video, then like 4 hour-ish later we will be releasing both a budget and a non-budget deck profile on our channel, so that you can have like both of these at the same time. I think it helps, with understanding the game. But before we begin this video, we are racing to 1,500 subs. Our goal is to hit it by the 26th of November. A challenge has been issued, so let's try to do this. Now, roll the video. As with all of our videos, let's start with a quick breakdown. So what's this deck all about? It's a hand destruction deck, so you're forcing your opponent to discard cards from their hand. The deck has a lot of drop recycling plus discard, which means that you discard your own cards, send them to drop and then get it back, like drop recycling basically. It has the common hand destruction issues, HD issues, yes, which means that, it's pretty weak to sideboarding. There are these anti-hand destruction cards that will just eat your deck alive. That's the biggest issue here. And most importantly, it's a starter deck. So this is starter Frieza, it came out in a starter deck in set 10. So this is just an upgrade on a starter deck, which means that you might still be able to find the starter decks somewhere online for a reasonable price. Here is our glorious leader, Lord Frieza. So, on the front side, permanent, you can't include any filthy monkeys in this deck. So, no Saiyans at all. Isn't a big deal. It was semi-big when this came out. Now it's like, whatever, fine. Auto. Choose one Frieza's Army battle card and send it to a drop area, from your battle area. When this card attacks a leader, your opponent discards one and then you add one from your life to your hand. You awaken on 4 or less, and it's a hybrid awakening. You draw one, you restand one. The big glaring issue is you both need to have one battle card on the field to send to a drop, and you also need to attack the leader. You cannot self-awaken if you attack Unison's battle cards or anything else. This is a bit of an issue because your opponent can literally deny you taking lives. But now with the Z deck and the Vegeta surmounting the impossible, it's not that big of a deal anymore. On the awakened side, our leader is Last Resort Frieza. 15k, auto when he attacks, draw one. So this time when he attacks anything, you draw one, that's awesome. Active main, you send one of your battle cards from the battle area to the drop. Your opponent discards one, you choose, at random what he wants to discard. And then you can give up to one of your Unisons critical for the turn. This is huge because you will be playing one very, very scary Unison in this deck. And especially when it gains critical, your Unisons become actual threats because if you deal damage, your opponent isn't putting cards to their hand, making your hand destruction job even much easier. So that's our leader. Let's look at the 3 key pieces that make this deck. To fully understand how this deck actually works, we need to take a look at its 3 key pieces. Frieza's Army Healing Pod, Dodoria, Frieza's Devoted Servant. Dodoria is the MVP of this deck. And our Unison of choice, Dark Broly, Overwhelming Evil. Let's start with the Healing Pod. The pod is our main draw engine. Basically, it's a field card for 1, which has auto once per turn. When you play a green battle card from your drop area, draw one. Active main, this other one, it's basically whatever. Flavor text, don't even read it. So, when you play a card from the drop, you draw one. This is what we'll be doing hopefully every single turn, because the Dodoria that I'm just about to show you, this card plays itself from the drop, so whenever you get a chance to play Dodoria from the drop, you trigger your Frieza's Army Healing Pod, drawing one card. Now the MVP of this entire deck, Dodoria, Frieza's Devoted Servant. 1 cost 4k, auto. If your leader is a green Frieza card and you have a green Unison in play, If this card is placed in your drop area from your hand by a skill, you may play this card from your drop area. That's what I was talking about with the healing pod. For example, your leader discards, your unison discards. You have the new Frieza card which discards. Every time you discard Dodoria from your hand, you get to play it. And then when you play it, once per turn, you trigger your healing pod, drawing 1. It also has an activate main. If your leader card is a green Frieza card, and you have a green unison in play, add this card from your drop to your hand. So if you ever need, more discard fuel, you can just pay 1, grab Dodoria back, discard it with something else, play it. Absolutely amazing. This is the MVP of this deck. So here is the big boy, the big unison, Dark Broly, Overwhelming Evil, free cost 20k double strike, auto once per turn. This is new text. On the image it's the old one, but it will probably get reprinted in the anniversary box. It got hit by an errata. When a marker is removed from this card by a non-keyword skill, your opponent chooses a card from their hand and discards it. Plus to activate main, choose one card in your hand, discard it, then your opponent chooses one and discards it, and then you get to KO one of their things. ±0, if your leader is green, you remove a marker from your opponent's unison. The big thing is that this +2 is basically discard the Dodoria, play it, your opponent discards one, and you get to KO one of their things. And it's a 20k double striker who you can give critical with your leader. Let's take a look at how these 3 key pieces actually work together. Here is the big 3-0 chain. So you activate +2 of your unison. Your opponent discards 1. You need to discard 1. You target Dodoria. You discard Dodoria. Its auto triggers. Because it was discarded by a skill from your hand, you get to play it. So you play Dodoria for free. Because you have played a battle card from your drop, your Frieza's army healing pod auto triggers. Once per turn, you get to draw 1. And then what you do is you activate main of your leader, which says that you can you can send one of your battle cards from the battle area to the drop and give something critical, give your unison critical. So you target your Dodoria, first part of activate main triggers, which is your opponent discards 1, and then you choose your unison, you choose Dark Broly, and you give it critical. And then you attack with your unison. Your unison is now 20k double strike critical. The result is that you get to draw 1 card from the healing pot. You KO'd 1 through Dark Broly's effect. You discarded 2 cards from your opponent's hand, 1 with Dark Broly, 1 with your leader, and you attacked with a 20k double strike critical unison. Pretty good. Now let's talk about the newest card, the reason why we're making this video right now. Frieza Before the Fall. So this card comes out in the anniversary box. It is a 4 cost, 19k, deflect, auto, limit 1 for 1 green. If your leader is green Frieza card and you have a green unison in play, when your leader skill causes your opponent to discard a card from their hand, play this card from your hand. So whenever you discard something to discard their cards, whenever you force them to discard in any way through your leader, you can pay 1 to play this card. Auto. When this card is played, draw 1 and discard 1 from your hand. Active main, limit 1. Choose one of your other Frieza army cards and place it in its owner's drop. Your opponent discards 1 from their hand. So this card is insanely good. This card is absolutely incredible in this deck. First off, 19k deflect for 1 energy is very, very good. It also enables you to recycle your guys and makes your opponent discard a lot, because what you'll be targeting with all of these effects is, if possible, your Dodoria. So you'll constantly bring it back or put it in your hand or do something with it. It's very good. I'm going to show you some gameplay with it. Here's how you use the newest card correctly. So everything is the same. until leaders activate main, everything remains the same. Now you use activate main, you send Dodoria from the battle area to the drop, your opponent discards 1 and your unison gains critical. Because your opponent discarded 1, you get to pay 1 to play Frieza before the fall. Then you discard 1 card and you draw 1. That's its effect. The card that you discard, let's say, is another Dodoria, for example, because Dodoria doesn't have a limit on its abilities. So you discard it, it auto triggers, and then Dodoria plays itself. Then you use your Frieza's activate main, targeting Dodoria. You send it to the drop and your opponent discards 1. Then you attack with your 20k double strike critical unison, and then you proceed to attack phase with everything else. That's basically how you play this guy. So you force your opponent to discard 1 more time, you get to get a 19k deflect body out for basically 1 energy. It's a strong play. So the main thing that you need to keep in mind when you're playing this deck is Dodoria doesn't have a limit to neither its auto nor its activate main. Which means that you can really set up some crazy turns like the one that I just showed you, because, yeah, there is no limit. If you have 3 Dodorias in your hand and you manage to discard 3 of them with your skills, you will get 3 Dodorias on the field, which then you can send from the field to the drop with your other effects. So there is no limit on like the amount of times that you can trigger this ability. You can trigger it literally as many times as you actually can. So keep this in mind when you're playing this deck. Here's a brief summary of today's video. So the new card, it really helps this deck out a lot. It's an additional discard. It allows you to discard your Dodoria from your hand and you get to draw 1, so you're basically recycling, and then you get a free body. It's a 19k deflect for 1 energy. It does a lot to help this deck out. Hand destruction, unfortunately, isn't the best strategy anymore, but it has potential. If you can create these crazy turns where you discard a lot in a single turn, this can be super powerful. However, it is still super weak to sideboard. Particularly the Bura Ritual at Hand. Every deck runs at least 2 copies in the sideboard, so in formats like best of 1 no pre-side, hand destruction is phenomenal. But as soon as you run into sideboard, there are some problems. Finally, let's talk about what's next. Okay, so it's my turn to introduce something new to the channel. A lot of you asked me in my how to play X videos, like, hey, can we see some deck profiles? Yes. So, starting with this video, every time one of these how to play videos are released, a couple of hours later, I will be releasing deck profiles with more in-depth instructions on how to play these decks. And these deck profiles will include both non-budget and budget versions of the deck, completed with upgrade paths. So if you're starting, on a budget but you like the deck, I will actually create the easiest, simplest paths on what to take out and replace for what when you're transitioning into the non-budget version. So there's a lot in this upcoming video. It will be out in a couple of hours, I think 4 hours or so. So keep a lookout for that one. That's it for the video. Let me know in the comments below. If you're a starter Frieza player, how do you like this new Frieza card? If you're not a starter Frieza player, what do you think of this deck? Are you interested to see the deck profile? Let me know in the comments below. I read all of your comments, I try to respond to everything, I love our little community. And if you're new here, hit that subscribe button. We are racing to try to get our goal of 1,500 subs by the European finals, by the 26th of November. Let's see if we can make this happen. This has been Damien from The Lookout, and I'll see all of you in the next video.